Hi there, this is James Swanwick, and you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast, where you learn how to take back control over alcohol and live a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. I am James Swanwick, and today we are talking to Russell Belcher, who is a 44-year-old father of four. He's Australian. He's a fellow Australian like me. He's the general manager of an Australian food processing company in regional New South Wales, which if you're not from Australia, New South Wales is one of the states of Australia. It's south of Queensland, where I grew up. It's on the east coast of Australia. And Russell, as of right now, today, as we're recording this, is 144 days alcohol-free, which is 4 months and 22 days. And I'm pretty sure he's feeling pretty good. Russell Belcher, great to have you here, mate. How are you feeling?
Thanks, James. I'm feeling great. Really good, thank you.
Why are you feeling great? Like, what's the difference from when you were drinking?
Well, I think it's about 11 o'clock our time. I would still be normally, under the stresses of work, I'd still be fairly hazy and foggy. It's not till you get through lunch and get something in your tummy that you start feeling a bit better. But, yeah, I would still be feeling the effects of the night before, back when I was sort of drinking. So, yeah, still fairly foggy at this time of day. But at the moment, I feel clear and feel great, yeah.
And what were you drinking and how much were you drinking? Maybe just talk us through your drinking habits before you ended up quitting.
Yeah, look, I had a soft spot for bourbon. Didn't really go much on beer or anything else, but bourbon was sort of my choice. And, I would sort of, towards the end of my drinking journey, I was sort of drinking, probably, 6 of them a night, pre-mixed cans. And I'd go for bang for buck. So I'd sort of hit, 10 percenters, 12 percenters of these pre-mixed cans. So, and I kept going up. It started at 4.8, go to 6, then into 10 and then 12 because, after a while, it was, not only costing me more, but it would, the effects wouldn't be there. So you'd hit something a bit stronger, So, yeah, it was really, those type of drinks were really knocking me around towards the end, in my health. So,
yeah. Well, we want to talk a bit about what the results have been of you being 4 months and 22 days alcohol-free in a little bit. But just paint a picture for us. Just tell us a little bit about your life and where you grew up and what you do and married life and being the father of 4 kids. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, Russell. And I might just ask you, just maybe speak a little bit closer into the microphone if you can, just so it comes out a little bit louder. Thanks, mate.
Can't get too close. There's no filter on the Zoom, is there? Yeah. So, Jeb, my story is probably a little bit boring in that there's really no profound sort of changes in my, appearance, so to speak. But, in terms of my past and, my family life, I'm a Brizzy boy, born and raised. I moved
for those of you who don't know what Brizzy is, Brizzy stands for Brisbane, which is the city that I grew up in the state of Queensland. So you'll probably hear some Aussie slang during this because we'll go, "Oh, I'm a Brizzy boy." Just means I'm from Brisbane.
Yeah, so the west side, so, Springfield, Ipswich is where I grew up and spent, all my life there, except for these last 6.5 years that I moved down here, career move, after a failed marriage. Had two beautiful kids to my previous wife. She was my high school sweetheart. We were together for around 22 years, something like that. And, we parted ways. I moved down here as a career change and met another young lady, and we've had 2 kids since then. So back earlier in my time, I was and probably before my drinking days, I was a proficient race car driver. So, I drove a lot of race cars and that was my life for a very long time until sort of money and, career sort of sort of ran out of time and ran out of money with 2 kids, and then sort of breaking up and getting divorced didn't go well with the finance side of things. So, yeah. It was then that I sort of hit the bottle, I guess, if you like. Yeah.
So was that was when you say hitting the bottle, I'm assuming you mean kind of like your drinking habit started to increase noticeably. Was
Definitely,
was that after you'd moved down to New South Wales, or was that immediately after the ending of your first marriage? Like, what phase of life did you notice that it went from kind of like just being kind of a non-threatening habit to all of a sudden being noticeably detrimental to your life?
Yeah, well, I'd never been a big drinker. I didn't like the taste of it, and with my racing and the cars, I never had time to drink, and I had to be sort of like an athlete. So I was always clean. Never did drugs. Never did any of that growing up. So wasn't until after I stopped racing, and then through the divorce that actually prior to the divorce, I was a social drinker. So I would drink on weekends and sometimes, but if I didn't have it, it sort of didn't worry me. Once the divorce sort of took effect, then I really hit it pretty hard. And it went from 0 to 100 really, really quickly. And look, I may have had a problem before that, but that's the point in my mind where I knew that things were a little bit different, and my intake was certainly increased. So, yeah.
So when you noticed that your intake had increased and you became aware of it, what did you try to do to change it, if anything?
Yeah, at that point, I didn't do anything because I was still. I didn't realise. I didn't realise exactly how big my problem was, or if it was a problem. And look, I would not. I would sort of not. I'd sort of drink on social outings and stuff, but most of the time I drank at home, and it felt good. So I didn't really think it was a problem. In those early stages. Wasn't till I started sort of climbing the ladder in my job and stuff, and things started to get stressful, and then that's when that was when it was really profound, and I sort of figured that my intake was like, it went from, say, for example, drinking on Friday, Saturday, Sunday pretty hard, to I have one Monday, then it'd creep into Tuesday. So before too long, I was drinking every single day, and it was really starting to hurt not so much my health, but my productivity, my family. That's what hit the hardest. Yeah.
And how did it hit your productivity, and how did it hit your family?
Well, yeah, with family, what I found is, particularly, starting again at, the age of, 38, nearly 40, with a brand new family and two kids, 2 young babies, coming to New South Wales, we didn't know anyone. We didn't have any friends here. Family and friends were 1,200 kilometres away. We didn't know anyone here. My wife, stay-at-home mum, everything was sort of on my shoulders to keep us going in terms of the work and the financial situation. But what I found is that I just wasn't present. I wasn't enjoying those opportunities with my children. I didn't look forward to them. All I looked forward to was that escape of that, having a few drinks. And in fact, I'd get to, say 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would, I've only got a couple of hours left to wait until I crack that first drink, because that seems reasonable, and so, I wasn't really present for the first couple of years of them being born. I did what I had to do as a father, as a provider, but I didn't go above and beyond the way a good dad should, and that's what really, and that sort of also transferred into my relationship with my wife, because she could see that I wasn't totally present. She'd never really raised that with me. She'd have a go at me every now and again about my drinking, but she would never really bring it to the front of the table, and say, look, you've got a problem, you need to do something. Because I'm not an aggressive type of drinker or anything like that. I sort of like to be left alone when I was drinking, but I would in fact, say some silly things or stuff that was out of character. So that's when things would sort of escalate between me and her, and she could see some changes there when I was drinking in my behaviour and stuff. So, yeah.
You sent me a photo just before we started speaking here, and the photo that you sent me is a photo of you with your daughter Harmony. I'm not sure how old she was at the time, but do you want to just explain and describe that photo and what you notice about it?
Yeah, I think that photo sticks out. I don't have many photos of me, sort of drinking and partying, but that one stood out to me as I was flicking through because I think she's about 3 there. Anyway, I'm standing there drinking, and she looks as though she's trying to get my attention, but I'm another world away, and I'm not even looking at her or acknowledging her, and that stood out to me because I felt that that's sort of a representation of the father I was when I was drinking, just not being present, not enjoying the moment with your kids, and I do regret that. I really do.
When you said that your wife had a go at you about your drinking, what kind of things would she say, and when would she say them?
It would normally be after I say something silly, or it would normally be how it would normally escalate would be that I would raise something that I would never normally raise, while not under the influence, Therefore, that would be totally out of character for me, out of the blue, and she would react to that, and then before you know it, we're sort of in a stoush. So it would be, during that conversation or the next day that she'd say, "You've got to stop drinking, you're drinking too much," or peel it back a bit, dial it back, don't drink as much as you are. Because I was sort of the all or nothing type of guy. Like, I can't have one or two. That's just not in me. I'm just all in. So, I'd get to a point where I'd have a skinful and I would just keep going until I, annihilate myself, go to sleep, wake up the next day, sleep in, and then be foggy for the next day, not wanting to go out or do activities or have family time, just sort of climb back in my cave and just leave me alone, So, an afternoon's worth of drinking would turn into, sort of 2 days of not being present with my family. So.
And then you mentioned it was affecting your productivity at work as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, look, I sort of think I'm sort of superhuman, in that regard. And I think most drinkers probably are because, to get through what I did and to achieve what I did, even while I was drinking the way I was, it's really remarkable, to be honest. But what stood out for me is that, well, if I can achieve what I'm achieving while I'm drinking, what could I achieve when I'm not? And get sort of let off the chain and do what I should be doing and achieve more things. But as I said, prior to 12 o'clock, prior to midday, like I'd be there. I'd be there in spirit, and I'd be making decisions. But were they the best ones? How much revenue did we lose? How much downtime? Just through silly choices or mistakes that I would make because I wasn't clear and I wasn't present in that moment. And as a team leader, leading, a couple of hundred people, it's unacceptable. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about to get to the benefits you've experienced from being consistently alcohol-free. But firstly, was there a moment where you decided enough is enough? Was it a period of time? Was there an incident? Was it just something that you've been thinking about for a year? What was the moment or the phase that finally got you to take action, and what was the action that you took?
Yeah. So James, for me, it was I had known the last couple of years I was really conscious of the amount I was drinking per day, and I was conscious of how much that was costing not only my wallet but productivity wise, my career, my health. But I continued not to do anything about it. So if you like, a typical day for me would be getting to the end of like, probably 10 or 12 hours a day at work, then, probably 4 hours of drinking, and then trying to squeeze family and all the rest of that into it. But what I found, James, was that I would go to bed, I would sleep really good for about 4 hours, then I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could not get back to sleep. And I would do that. That happened for so long, like more than I can remember, probably a year or two, that, yes, I would get to sleep and it would be great. But I'd wake up continually every single morning at 2 or 3 o'clock, one to go to the toilet, but then I couldn't get back to sleep. I'd then wake up. When it was time to wake up, I couldn't wake up, so I was a zombie for the first 6 hours at work because I just hadn't had enough sleep, So I went, going through those stages, and it was really starting, as I was sort of getting older, it was really starting to take its toll on me, and I was sort of just scrolling through Facebook, and your ugly mug popped up. And, anyway, I clicked like on it, and, the Facebook thing, it'll takes note of that, so it keeps, pushing stuff into your feed. Anyway, you just kept popping up, and I think I flicked you an email to get some more information about the P90 Project 90 program. I think then we had a call, and I think the second call where we discussed the program, I think you actually, that was the 23rd of April. That was a Thursday, and then the 24th I had my first call, and I was alcohol free from the 24th. So yeah, it was big. And I just jumped straight in with 2 feet, and I was all into that. So, and haven't had a drop since.
Yeah, amazing. And yeah. I don't want this to be like we just tell everyone how great Project 90 is. And so, but I'm just curious, like what was effective about going through that process that maybe, you doing it on your own previously, that hadn't worked. What was it about going through this process that made it work?
Well, okay. If I relate this to, those early mornings being awake and not knowing why, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I would tell myself every single day that I'm not going to drink tonight. I'm not going to drink tonight. I'm not going to drink tonight. I'm not going to do it. And every single day I would, But every single morning I would say that. And it got to the point where I tried a couple of times. So, okay, I won't drink during the week. I'll just drink on weekends. And you find yourself just longing through the week, and you just, abstaining from it, and it's not fair because you can't drink. That brainwashing, I couldn't do that by myself. I couldn't get that out of my head, When I joined the group, it was I was a little bit scared, to be honest, I would put it this way. What was attractive about the program was that in a small regional town in New South Wales, I could not walk into a meeting, an AA meeting or something like that, and have everyone know who I was. I couldn't do that. So I liked the program because although I know a lot of people now through the program, I had that sort of anonymous type. No one knew who I was, so I could be completely open. I could be myself. But I would say what was different about the program as to trying to do it myself is that there's some key fundamental systems and processes there that are easy to follow. There's a camaraderie with the team and other members that you just can't get, and you can't get that. I certainly couldn't. I couldn't get that from my wife. She didn't understand. She's not a drinker. But that camaraderie in the group, and it's still there now, even, I finished P90 a long time ago, but it's still there through other platforms. And I've made friends for life through that. But that it's kind of like, going to a personal trainer or a group training thing. When it's in a group, you always want to try harder. I'm competitive, so I wasn't going to be the one that got on there and said, I've had a drink. I wanted to see it through. So that there's all those type of aspects that really helped me succeed through that 90 days. There are some tough times, there's no silver bullet, but I found leaning on some of those other team members was really helpful for me, and it's fantastic.
Just a quick message from our show sponsor, Project 90, the program that helps you enjoy life more by getting ultimate power over alcohol. Project 90 helps high achievers regain their confidence, be more present with friends and family, get clear, reduce stress and anxiety, sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel a whole lot better. Project 90 does this by helping members quit alcohol for at least 90 days whilst providing 6 months of accountability and support. The program has an 87% success rate of members reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free on their first attempt. Members get a one-on-one accountability coach, a community of like-minded people to interact with, 100% confidentiality, and what's more, members tell us it's fun. Project 90 members are mostly over the age of 35, entrepreneurs, executives, top professionals, or retirees. If you're in your late 30s or 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or older, and you consider yourself a high achiever, and you're ready to upgrade your life by quitting alcohol for at least 90 days and maybe more, then you can have a free 20-minute exploratory call with one of Project 90's former clients, now coaches. If you'd like to book that call, you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule. Or if you're on your phone in the US right now, you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222, and we'll email you the schedule link. That's texting the word Project 90 to the number 44222. Okay, let's get back to the show. So what did the process teach you, or what did you learn from the process about yourself? And then I want to ask you, what were some of the benefits that you felt and saw, and more particularly what other people saw as well? I'm curious about what your wife said, or what other people that know you have said about your change. So there was a few questions in one, but what did you learn about yourself during the process?
I think the most profound thing I learned, because in the program itself, there's members from all over the world. What I learned was that I'm not special, that I'm not crazy. Every single other person was going through exactly the same thing I was. And I see people going through the program now that through different stages that was exactly the same as me. So they were thinking the same way. They've done all the same things that I did, So I learned that it's not you as an individual that has this problem. It's, it can quickly it can quickly swallow you up with your own thoughts about you being dysfunctional or whatever. But it's really true that although you may not know, a lot of other people are going through exactly the same thing, but they just don't share it, And in that group and in that P90 program, I really learned that, and that was probably the biggest takeout from that program. The effects and what people see now, I guess, probably haven't seen all of the benefits because of COVID. It's sort of been locked down, but a lot of my friends, they joke and they say they want the old Russell back. That's only because I'm a bit of a joker, you know what I mean, and I'm fairly jovial, and they were afraid that I would lose that, but I haven't lost that. That's still in me, but I get a few drinks in me, and that's, it's exaggerated, by 100. But that's been the biggest thing, is that I'm still the same, and people have recognised that. They just can't believe I don't drink anymore. So yeah, and my wife, same. So yeah, coming home earlier, spending time with the family activities on weekends, just waking up and being able to do that has been, great. So yeah.
When you were mentioning Harmony before, I think she's 5, and you have another child who's 6 years old, I think, and you have some older children who are 18 and 17 from your first marriage.
Yeah.
But do they live with you? I'm assuming you're only with the 5-year-old and the 6-year-old. Is that right?
Yeah, Harper and Harmony down here with me, and my
Yep.
oldest two are back in Brisbane. Yeah, Emerson and Morgan.
And so with Harper and Harmony, your 6-year-old and your 5-year-old, how has your relationship or your presence or your connection changed with them since you've been 4 months alcohol-free now?
Well, I would say it's changed just due to the time that I'm spending with them and the activities that we do. I really think, kids are really smart in that regard, and I think they do know, they do understand, and they do pick up that those vibes, that Dad's here, and so I'm flat out now, to be honest. They drag me off to ride bikes and throw rocks and do all types of silly things, but it's great, because I'm sort of getting to do that again, and I'm getting to be a bit of a kid myself, Also, the important thing is I was so busy at work with my first two and, trying to build my career, even though I wasn't really drinking that much back then, that I missed some of those times with my oldest two. So, to have that happen again would be an absolute shame, So I'm really glad that I sort of came across the program and that, I took the steps I have to capture, these early times of their life and be present in them. So,
yeah, wonderful. How about your work and your productivity? How has that shifted? And also relationship with your wife, who was probably, like she said a few things about your drinking, right? So how's work shifted, productivity, and then how's your relationship with your wife shifted?
Well, look, the work things, it is difficult because since being alcohol-free, I have been really tested. There's been a few changes at work, changes within the company. I would say the last 3 months have probably been been the hardest of my whole career. But what's different about that is being alcohol-free. If I hadn't have been alcohol-free, those problems, issues, whatever, would just be compounded by the fact that I feel insecure, I don't have confidence, I can't make decisions, But I've been able to get through this period alcohol-free and remain alcohol-free and come out the other side. When I say come out the other side, it's not all over yet, but it's, I'm sort of still going through some things there. But I am in much better shape to take anyone on than what I would have been, 6 months ago. So it's been a big game changer in terms of my career. It's also got me looking outside of my current sector that I work in, and what can I do in terms of investing? What can I do in terms of building other businesses? What could I get into outside the industry that I'm in now to open up some new doors? So I'm really looking forward to the future. I think that there's more that I can do. There's more that I can offer companies and people. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. My wife, she's hard work, she's always been hard work, So, but look, she's okay. She's a good wife. She works hard, with kids and stuff, and she is a good person. I haven't acted the way I should as a husband, during the, drinking alcohol and things like that. However, we always have our ups and downs. We have our ups and downs now, even being alcohol free. But what I will say is this: I've got better comebacks now that I'm more clear. I've got better arguments now that I'm more clear. I would normally cower and just give in, but now I can stand up to her, man. I'm more clear and present in the argument, and I'll put my arguments forward. But no, it is much happier, mate. It is a lot better. I feel a lot better in myself, a lot more confidence, and I'm certainly sure that she's seen that, even though sometimes she won't admit it. She's pretty hard-headed. Yeah.
One of the things I really liked was inside of our Project 90 program, we have this phone app where you can send little video selfies to to one another, to other members in the group. And some of the things that you did was play some music. You're a musician. Tell us a little bit about that, and whether you've noticed any change from being alcohol free with your music.
Yeah. Look, I have, James, and I don't want this to seem like everything's so fantastic now, but, the clarity is there. Memory is coming back. A lot of those focus is one of the things that, especially with music, that, whereas I might have practiced something over and over for weeks, I could sort of pick up in a couple of days now, I think it's just that focus and, memory and stuff. But, yeah, look, I dabble a little bit. Am I any good? I don't know. The jury's still out. But I enjoy it because, when I sort of hung up the helmet from the racing days, I'd always been into music, but I'd never had the time to do it. And now music doesn't cost me anything, and, it just costs me my time. Put some time into it, and I really enjoy sort of playing and, just that it's comforting and it's relaxing and it's challenging. So I like it.
You also said that you tracked how much money you've saved as a result of being alcohol free, and you've also tracked how much time you've saved. What are those figures that you figured out, or that you? Yeah.
Well, from the time I stopped, I think we're almost at the $4,000 mark with in terms of money saved, which is fantastic. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. It really is to us. Being a young family and not having a lot, so it really is. Taking. I think back now, taking $4,000 away from my family and out of their mouths, and what they miss out on, I really feel guilty about that. So in terms of hours, I sort of clocked up 600 hours. That's just drinking time. That doesn't include downtime because I'm hungover, or that's actual just sitting there having, spending 4 hours drinking a night. So that, the hours are actually a lot more than 600, but that's, it's pretty hard to quantify, but 600 is, sort of where I use an app that sort of calculates that. So
yeah, that's incredible. So if we figure out 600 hours divided by 144 days is 4 hours. Yeah, so 4 hours a day you were spending drinking alcohol, not being present, creating fogginess and poor sleep and lack of productivity.
Not at home with my family having dinner. Not helping my youngest with his homework. All those things.
Yes, that's 600 hours divided by 24 hours in a day is 25 days.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Consecutive, like 25 days straight, not even with a break, So, and that's only in 4.5 months. So if we double that, or if we just say it was 4 months, if we times that by 3, that's 75 days a year, which is 30, 60, 2.5 months a year spent consuming alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, and when I looked at those figures, so, in what else could I do with those 4 hours? Those 4 hours, I could learn more music. I could learn another job. I could learn another skill. I could really invest my time in, having something pay me back instead of flushing it down the toilet, if you like. Yeah.
So where to now, Russell, in terms of your drinking and in terms of your outlook and what's next in terms of living this alcohol-free lifestyle?
Yeah, well, for me, short term is, I got through the program, which was 90 days, 3 months. My next goal was to hit 6 months, which, I'll hit that next month. Once I hit that, then, I'll reevaluate. But I'm looking at long term. So I'm looking at going all out, and just not drinking at all. That it seems, even at the point I'm at now, it does seem difficult, but I think I'm up for it. I've got through what I've got through some pretty hard times in the last 4 months, nearly 5 months. So I don't think there's anything else that can be thrown at me that I wouldn't be able to, I can deal with it alcohol free, So, yeah, post 6 months, I'm looking long term to go alcohol free for a good while. Yeah, forever. So
it actually sounds like the moment that you quit alcohol was turned into the most challenging that work could have been. Like there was all this stuff that was thrown at you. And so you actually imagine you trying to deal with all of that stuff while you're spending 4 hours a day drinking and being foggy. So it's not like people quit drinking and all of a sudden life becomes perfect and that there's no challenges. You actually had more challenges thrown at you the moment that you decided to go alcohol free. And yet not only were you able to handle it, it seems like based on what you're sharing, you were able to like handle it really well and almost, thrive in it, even though it feels messy at times, right?
Oh, 100%, and, I kick myself, James, because I'm 44 now. If I didn't spend those, a few years, probably 10 years, heavy drinking, where would I be, And, they say you can't look back, but I'm looking forward now. So looking forward to using that time, using that money, investing it in, myself, investing it in my family, investing it in our future. And I know that, I'm just not the type of guy that can have one or two or drink on the weekends, or I'm just not made up like that. And I think when you get to that realization of who you are, and the program helps you with that, your personality and who you are, it makes you ask some really tough questions about yourself. And I worked out that it's just not me. I can't be a social drinker. I'm all in, So that's off the radar for me, I'm invested in my health and in my future.
Russell Belcher, 44, from regional New South Wales. Congratulations on 4 months and 22 days today as we're recording this, but I'm sure by the time someone watches or listens to this, you'll be considerably more than that. And also just want to say thank you very much for your incredible positive contribution to our group and our community, because you were always very supportive of other people. Not only did you ask for help and support, you also were forthcoming with help and support for other members. So I want to acknowledge and thank you for that. And wish you all the best. Yeah, mate.
Yeah, thanks, James. I should say that, it's probably well known that you've interviewed some pretty big names in your time, and you still continue to do. But this is probably one you tick off your bucket list, right? It took me a while, but you finally got me, mate.
Yeah, I've got, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston, Russell Belcher. That's the top 5.
That's it, buddy.
Good on you, Russell. Thanks for sharing some time with us, mate. Appreciate it.
Nice. Appreciate it, James. Thank you and the team.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Free Lifestyle podcast. I want to load you up with some free stuff right now. So if you want to go to jamesswanwick.com/guide, I will send you my Quit Alcohol Guide, which has helped 6-figure entrepreneurs and top professionals reduce or quit drinking. You can also text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222 if you're in the US, of course. It doesn't really work anywhere outside of the US. But if you're in the US on your mobile phone and you'd like that guide, text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222, or you can go to jamesswanwick.com/guide. If you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of my top coaches, just an exploratory call to see if or how we can help you, then you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222 if you're listening in the US on a mobile phone. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90, that's one word, Project 90, to the number 44222. Feel free to send me a direct message over on my Instagram account, which is @JamesSwanwick. You can also watch video episodes of this podcast and a series of other educational videos on my YouTube channel, which is James Swanwick 1, or you can direct message me on Facebook @James Swanwick Official. And finally, a request. Would you please now write a short review of the podcast inside of the Apple Podcast app on your phone or on iTunes on your desktop? computer. Would you please give the show 5 stars and write a quick 1 or 2 sentence review? This will help the show get in front of even more listeners, potentially transforming someone's life. You can rate and review the show inside of your Apple Podcast app on your phone or over on iTunes on your desktop. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.